it's not. It's the Anthony Rogers Show. Tell all of your friends to watch the Anthony Rogers Show. The Anthony Rogers Show. It's the best show in the universe. The Anthony Rogers Show.
Everyone is freaked out.
But it's not. It's the Anthony Rogers Show. Tell all of your friends to watch the Anthony Rogers Show. The Anthony Rogers Show. It's the best show in the universe. The Anthony Rogers Show. The Anthony Rogers Show. Tell all of your friends to watch the Anthony Rogers Show. The Anthony Rogers Show. It's the best show in the universe. The Anthony Rogers Show.
Download STL, get on the list to be a member. So it's high-rising co-working spaces, office spaces, music studio, podcast studio, conference room, free parking garage, gym access, rooftop pool, all downtown St. Louis included in your membership.
Dispensary weed is grown by dudes in lab coats who've never been outside, and this guy thinks sunlight is a setting. At Smart Sticky Farm, we grow organically grown weed, raised in real soil under the natural sun. Not that rushed, lab-lit dispensary garbage. You'll instantly feel the difference.
It's a farm that is very sticky. I should have stickers that say I got sticky at Smart Sticky Farm.
See? Even aliens won't touch dispensary weed. Ha! Smart Sticky Farm. Organic, sun-grown, universally preferred.
Stickers that say I got sticky at Smart Sticky Farm, but I haven't ordered any yet. 2025 we started late June, and it was probably the most perfect time to
out in the dirt where the real ones stand. Sun-grown fire from Smart Sticky Farm. Hands in the soil done right, not scammed. Every single bud from Smart Sticky Farm. Smart Sticky Farm. Smart Sticky Farm. If it's loud and sticky, it's Smart Sticky Farm. No shortcuts taken, just growing the land. Good weed only.
Smart Sticky Farm.
Light it, pass it, tell your fam if they ask where it's from.
Smart Sticky Farm.
I tried Smart Sticky Farm's Giggles, and it was the best weed I have ever had. I would rather be homeless than not have giggles in my life.
Smart Sticky Farm, oh Smart Sticky Farm, grown outside.
See the money. Buying new shirt design. Fresh in, just came in this weekend, but I was doing comedy shows, so I just now have time for the promo. This is the prototype of it, basically. So if you are a model, hit me up. Basically, if you don't have to be a fucking model, but if you want to model this shirt on my website and in my ads, hit me up. And then if you are a model, cool, you already fucking do it, so that's good too. But I'm just saying, and then if you want to buy it, hit me up. I'll do about $25 for this round of shirts. I'm not gonna do that many of them, so hit me up.
You know about rolling down in the deep. When your brain goes numb, you can call them into freeze. When these people talk too much with the shit in slow motion, yeah, I feel like an astronaut in the ocean. What you know about rolling down in the deep?
This is the best show in the universe. The Anthony Rogers Show. Recorded live in downtown St. Louis. Do you even know where that is, you fucking idiot? Everyone else's show is most likely ran by someone that has a picture with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Remember when we found out that all the famous people, royals, politicians, etc. are just satanic pedophiles? Then we just did nothing about it and moved on with life. I think it was some Israeli blackmail scheme. Oh, well. Anyway, like I was saying, here's the Anthony Rogers Show. The best show in the universe.
Yo, I think my mic's on. I don't know. Hi, can you hear me? Welcome to the best podcast that's ever existed in the entire world. Nikki Niley co-hosting. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I was
good.
watching along with the intro on my iPad.
Yeah, we're all a little older after that intro. You know, we all aged
Half
a
the
little
podcast
bit.
is just the intro.
That's the longest intro in the entire world. We have such a cool subject today, that I want to talk about, and I guess that's why we're doing it, because it sounds cool. Because it sounds cool. I don't know, but we have a doctor who's overqualified to be here. Basically,
Love that.
Yeah. Anytime someone's name has like doctor in it when I'm about to intro him, I'm just like, this guy's going backwards in the career. You know, it's like he's coming here. I'm just like, oh, this guy, all the things he did. You know, no, we have Dr. Rizwan Virki. He's an author, and among other things, investor in video games. I think he's a lot of video game stuff. Hey, how you doing, brother?
Hey, good to be here.
Well, thank you for going backwards in your career and being on my Zoom call podcast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, kind of did my master's like a decade and a half after the bachelor's, and then another decade and a half before doing the doctor. So it was weird to be a student again, you know, with guys who are like 18 when I was finishing.
So how many years of school did you actually do altogether?
Well, I guess 4 for the bachelor's, another 1 for the master's, and then another 4.5 to 5 for the doctorate, which
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of time in school.
I was like, 4 years of high school was like enough. I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to school again. You're like, okay, you got to go to school for another 10 years. I'd be like, fuck.
I think a lot of people feel
I commend you for that.
No, I love the juxtaposition of all our levels of education on here. Like, it's like hilarious. Just different levels of intelligence, you know, like yeah, no. So what is the Matrix basically? What is that, to dumb down for people and myself also, because I'm a fan of your work? What is the Matrix like?
Yeah. Well, so the book I wrote is called The Simulation Hypothesis, which is kind of the terminology that we use for this idea that the physical world, which looks like a real physical world, is actually part of a computer program. It's a virtual reality of some type that is built on information, right? And most people know it because of the film The Matrix. It's the most, the most popular pop culture representation of this idea, where Neo goes to work in his cubicle, Keanu Reeves. He works for a company called Metacortex, and he goes home. He's a hacker at night, working on his computer, and he realizes that all of that was fake. It was a simulation of the year 1999, which is the year that the film came out, but that there's another world outside of it. So that's the big general idea. There's a lot of nuances that we can get into about that, but yeah, that's the basic idea, that the world isn't real, and that we are actually inside something like a video game, a multiplayer video game.
Do you think that we are?
I think it's more likely than not. I can tell you how I got down this rabbit hole about 10 years ago. So I was in Silicon Valley. I had a game company. We had like one of the top games on the iPhone, and we sold it. And then after that, I became an investor in video game startups, and I was visiting a company that had a virtual reality ping pong game. Now today, some of the audience might have like a Meta Quest, or even have tried like an Apple Vision Pro. But back then we had these big bulky headsets that was like wires coming from the ceiling. And I started playing this ping pong game. And what happened was, for a moment, I forgot that it was virtual. And my body thought I was playing a real game of table tennis. So much so I tried to put the paddle on the table, and I tried to lean against the table, but I was just in an empty room. There was no table.
Yeah. Right.
The controller fell to the floor. I almost fell over. And then I began to wonder, well, how long would it take us to build something that could fool us, not just for a moment, which is what happened to me, but that could fool us for a longer period of time, that we were in a real world when in fact we were in a virtual world. It's a kind of singularity. So that's what got me, down the rabbit hole, looking at it from an AI and VR technology point of view. But then I started to look at what quantum physics was saying. And they're basically saying there is no physical world, that it's all kind of an illusion of some type. It's a hoax.
Well, there's also this other theory where like reality doesn't exist unless you're actually there observing it. I forgot what theory that was.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly right. And colloquially, we call it the observer effect. More
Okay.
formally, it's called quantum indeterminacy. But the basic idea is that everything is a set of probabilities. Like we
Yeah.
think in physics, there's something called a particle, but really that particle is just a set of probabilities until it's measured or until it's observed. That's why it's called the observer effect. And when I thought, that's kind of what we do in video games, right? Because the reason we can build a Fortnite or World of Warcraft is we only have to render the part of the world that your character is in and that which you're observing. It's an optimization technique. Like for example, I'm not really talking to you guys now, am I? I'm talking to my computer, and you guys are hearing me through your computers. And your computer doesn't have to render all of Phoenix; it just has to render the little snapshot of Phoenix that you could see around my character. And same with me. I don't have to see all of St. Louis on my computer. So it's all about optimization. So that was the second big area. And the third big area was religions and spiritual, mystics of the ages were all telling us this world isn't real. It's a kind of hoax. And so, to make a long story short, in all three of those areas, I began to think it was more likely that we're in a simulation than not. So of some kind. Now that simulation has to be a lot more complicated than our current computers. You can't run it on a MacBook Pro or Raspberry Pi or whatever. It's probably more like a quantum computer. Quantum
computer or quantum matrix would make more sense for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Because the universe itself seems like it's computing. There's something called, so everybody probably knows what bits are. A bit is like a 0 or a 1, right? So it's like two possible values. Then there's something called a quantum computing bit or qubit, which basically takes on a value of both 0 and 1. And it's not until it's measured or observed that it takes on that role. So the universe is probably more like a quantum computer. But I think it's easier for people to understand if we just say it's like a video game and we're all avatars in this video game.
So then if that's true, then would you say that there's also NPC-like characters?
Well, that's a great question. So there's, I like to call it the two flavors of simulation theory. The NPC version, where everybody is just AI running on a computer. Yeah. And the RPG version, the role-playing game version, where we are actually players like Neo and Morpheus and Trinity were, and we have a character inside the game. And so a lot of people in academia, if you look at how AI is advancing today, I mean, just this week we had like Moltbook, if you guys have seen that, where they had all these AI agents, like a Reddit for AI agents. They're all talking to each other, and people are looking at that saying, "What the hell is going on here?" It looks like these these agents are like conscious or something because the way they're talking about stuff.
Right.
And so those are the two versions. But in a video game, you have both. You have NPCs and you have PCs or avatars of characters.
Exactly.
So I don't take a strong position. Personally, I'd like to think we're more players of the game. But some people could be NPCs, or we're somewhere in the middle where we go into NPC mode, which means we act.
I could see that too. I feel like, you know what I think? I think when people have a spiritual awakening, they leave the NPC and they become the main player character. Because I feel like being an NPC is almost like you're still part of almost like the hive mind of the Matrix in a sense, where you're kind of like not awake, but you're still like not necessarily like not like you don't have a soul, but like I feel like I've met NPCs where I'm like their life is just like they work every day, they go to sleep, and they're just kind of like stuck in the Matrix. You know how people are always like, "Oh, you're in the Matrix, get out, break out of the Matrix." I feel like those are really kind of what like the NPCs are.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. That's kind of what I call NPC mode, where they're just regurgitating what they've learned during this lifetime. But if you have a spiritual awakening, then you're kind of like the guy in Plato's cave, where everybody grew up and lived in the cave, chained to the wall, and they're only seeing the shadows. And one guy breaks his chains
exactly.
Outside.
They think that's reality. They think right, and it's really just the 2D shadow of a hand or some shit, right?
No, that's exactly right. Now, what happens when that guy comes back to the cave and tries to tell everybody that, hey, this is just a cave?
Right.
WTF? Like, what is that? What are you talking about? How would you explain the sun to somebody that has never seen the sun?
Exactly.
You'd have to use a metaphor.
Frankie. This is our weather guy. This is our weather guy, Frankie MacDonald.
What's up, Frank?
Renowned.
Things are great so far. Down in Antarctica, there's total solar eclipse hitting somewhere in Antarctica on February 17, 2026. It's going to be a partial eclipse in McMurdo Station, Amundsen Scott South Pole Station, Antarctica. Then again, the eclipse is going to turn dark out. It's supposed to be 24-hour daylight. Antarctica on February 17th is going to turn black sky down Antarctica. That's an odd time for them.
That's awesome, man. That's crazy news. I haven't heard that yet. That's cool.
That is nuts.
And then down Antarctica, and there'll be total solar eclipse down in Antarctica on February 17th, 2026. The moon crossing over the sun. My fans are saying hi to me.
That's awesome, brother.
I see plenty of snow out there too.
Yes, I'm showing you Prince Street in Sydney.
Cool.
Nice.
That is awesome.
Knowing.
It snowed here. Yeah, it's bad here too.
Yeah, I'm in Arizona, so we have, it was 80 degrees today. So
It was 80 in Arizona? Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I think it's
That's
80
crazy.
degrees here too. I'm in Los
And
Angeles.
then you got the Super Bowl Sunday coming up. It's going to be a tested snowstorms in Sydney, Nova Scotia this week. And but it's not going to happen. Back on Monday, Sydney, Nova Scotia had 32 centimeters of snow on Monday, February the 2nd. It had a total of 32 centimeters of snow. It had lots of snow earlier today in Sydney, earlier on Monday in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Sunday night into Monday, so much snow has fallen in Sydney.
that's a lot of
Cool.
snow
What
for
about
Groundhog
Los
Day.
Angeles?
And did you hear about
When are
this?
we gonna get
Last
snow?
week it was colder than normal in my hometown of Sydney last week. Now it turned milder.
When is it going to snow in California?
Sometime in the middle of the end of the month. They're trying to predict the colder than normal temperatures in the second half of winter, late winter in California.
Wow, imagine if it snowed on Hollywood Boulevard. Man, that would be crazy.
That
It was
means they
60
did your.
on Christmas. Like here is crazy.
And did you hear about this? They had a bunch of earthquakes out in Alberta and little earthquakes out in Alberta. And did you hear about this in Toronto, Ontario, and all those places? And they had really cold weather in Toronto. They had big snowstorm in Toronto in the end of January and all those places. Vancouver's been getting so much rain lately. They get a lot of fires in California during Santa Ana winds time. They usually get a lot of fires in British Columbia in the summer.
Nice.
And they get forest fires in British Columbia and down up around. Tornado season's going to be bad this year in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Kentucky, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and all those places. It's going to be a bad tornado season.
Yikes.
In eastern Colorado.
I grew up in the Midwest, so I'm used to tornado warnings, but I lived in North Dakota for a little while. And man, that was cold.
And tornadoes can produce large hail that can smash windshields of cars and things like this. Large hail can smash windshields of cars. And around Easter weekend and before the Easter weekend of last year, Fremont, Nebraska had a baseball-sized hail smashing windows in the house and things like this.
It's crazy, man.
Those places get baseball to softball-sized hail or even a grapefruit-sized hail. It's like a hail puncture to the roof of the house and things like this. In Vivian, South Dakota, back in the day, that was a huge hail. Hail's like throwing bricks at the house.
Damn.
Those places, and did you hear about this? And did you hear about this? New Zealand is getting, days are getting shorter in New Zealand, and their Southern Hemisphere fall starts on March 20th. Days are getting shorter there. Once again, around June 21st, it'll be their first day of winter. Shortest day of the year for them, June 21st.
Dude, nice.
And did you hear about this? Antarctica is heading towards solar eclipse on February 17th.
I did not hear that.
That's wild.
McMurdo
You're not
Station and
supposed to
South
look
Pole
directly
Station.
at it, right? I've only seen like one eclipse, and they were like, "Don't look at it. You're gonna die. You're gonna your eyes will burn out of your skull." And I was like, "Whoa, calm down." I don't know. Apparently, like a whole thing.
And did you hear about this? And Anthony, I'm sending you the video to Facebook about Antarctic solar eclipse, like in Antarctica. I'm sending you the video now to Facebook Messenger, like Antarctic Research Station. I'm sending.
Isn't there like a
I'm working
Navy
on it.
base in Antarctica where they have a bunch of like cloning facilities or like aliens or there's so many
Anthony,
different
you got the
conspiracies
video
about
about
what's going on over
Antarctic
there.
Research Stations.
I got it, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like rumors of secret bases in Antarctica.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of like pilots, especially like in World War II, that were like, yeah, we flew over that shit. We saw some crazy shit. There was some otherworldly things going on over there.
Yeah, there was like a. Oh, here it is.
This is Frankie MacDonald, my own TV station live in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Total solar eclipse is heading towards Antarctica on Tuesday, February 17, 2026. Then the moon's going to cross over, the sun's going to get dark outside. When the moon crosses over, the sun's going to get dark in it. Around in the middle of the winter, in northern hemisphere, in middle of summer in southern hemisphere. Antarctica is going to turn darkness in the middle of the southern hemisphere summer. And McMurdo Station and Emerson Scott Sopo Station or Palmer Station and Scott Station will be getting a partial solar eclipse. For scientists and research people in Antarctica, don't look up in the sky because the eclipse is heading for Antarctica on Tuesday, February 17, 2026. When the moon crosses over the sun, for research people and scientists and Antarctic research stations, don't look up the sun unless they have your special glasses designed for the eclipse.
Exactly.
Because the moon crosses over the sun during southern hemisphere summer, then it gets dark outside. When the moon crosses over the sun in Antarctic research stations, this partial eclipse is going to hit McMurdo Station, Emerson Scott Sopo Station, and the surrounding areas, and parts of Antarctica is going to get total solar eclipse. Be prepared. Be safe. This is Frankie MacDonald, my own TV station live in Sydney, Nova Scotia.
That was me. Sorry.
Okay, so don't look directly at it unless you have special glasses.
For scientists in Antarctica, don't look at the sun during partial and full total solar eclipse. In partial solar eclipse, I warn scientists and research people and people down at research stations, don't look up the sun.
Well, I saw an eclipse, a total eclipse, and I looked directly at it. So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen.
There's one rule. There's
Everyone's
one
like,
rule.
don't look at it. I'm like, dude, telling me not to look at it just makes me want to look at it more. Like, but when I looked directly at it, it was pretty crazy. It was like, it looked like a black sun. And then, because I saw these like almost like rainbow, like flames, like around a giant black hole in the sky is kind of what it looked like. I mean, it looked pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie, but
you didn't use the glasses. You just looked right at it. Huh?
Nope, just looked right at it.
There's one rule. There's like one rule during the entire day.
I don't like rules. Okay, rules are lame. Rules are retarded. So
And if you're here about this, they're in the rainy season in Mozambique in Africa right now. And another few months away, Mozambique will be going to dry season. India will be going to rainy season at the same time.
Nice.
Well, we have a rainy season here in Arizona. Most people don't know that. It's August is the monsoon season, and there are these huge storms.
Wow.
And electrical storms, and hail,
electrical
everything.
storms. Oh God.
Yeah, but they come and they go pretty quick. So people don't think Arizona. They come to Arizona and they think it's going to be pretty calm.
2 weeks from today, Antarctica gets the solar eclipse.
Yeah. Well, aren't they right now? They have pretty much sun for what, like, I don't know, 20 hours or something, right?
Yeah.
In Antarctica at the moment. So.
Oh right. Oh yeah. It's at the time of the year when it's like, it's either like all sun or like just total darkness. I don't know, how do people live up there? I mean, do people live up there? That's actually probably the better question. Do people actually live up there?
Antarctica, that's down South Pole. That's down under.
Yeah, not many people there. There's just that base that he was talking about, and then supposedly
I heard it's like illegal to go there or something. Like you can't even like get there.
Well, there are tours now that you can take. Like we had at our university, we had some professors and students. They go every year, but they only go to certain parts of Antarctica, because they don't want
Yeah.
to freeze and die and get lost somewhere.
They don't want to. Aren't there? I heard that they discovered some pyramids out there too.
Well, there's this
They were
one
like-
mountain that looks
Yeah.
like it could be a pyramid. So, there's people who think that is actually an ancient structure, and then other people say that they've seen holes and things where there's like a green valley, kind of like the inner Earth. And then others think the Nazis went there because Admiral Byrd went there.
I think the Nazis did go there. I watched a documentary about it. They're like, yeah, the Nazis were they were trying to contact aliens or something. I don't know.
Could be. I mean, a lot of them went to South America, and some people they wonder why Admiral Byrd took a whole fleet to Antarctica right after World War II. And some
They
people
could
think
be.
it's 'cause
They
the
could
Nazis.
honestly. They could have what's the word? Evaded, or like when the war ended, they could have like went and hid there.
Right.
If there was some sort of like
And,
base.
Anthony, if you want to follow me on social media, my blue sky is at Frankie MacD. My link tree is Frankie MacDonald, and my X for me Twitter is at Frankie MacD, and my Reddit is FrankDonald94, and my Threads is at Frankie MacD94. My Facebook is Frankie MacDonald. My Instagram is Frankie MacD94. My TikTok is FrankDonald94. My Clapper is FrankDonald94. My Twitch is FrankDonald94. My Snapchat is Frankie MacDon. My YouTube channel is Talks Wolves, and my LinkedIn is Frankie MacDonald. Best of luck to you. I'm Frank Donald. You're listening to Anthony Rogers Show.
Thanks, Frankie.
Thanks, Frank. Bam, and speaking of a really long ad read, I'm going to do one real fast. Hang on, why does it say failed? Hang on, let me reset it.
Fail! Oh, and then he disappeared. Look at what he does. Okay, yes, hi. Yes. Like, we want to be on the podcast. Like, we want to be on the podcast. Hello.
I can only see like a tail. I can only see like a tail and like the top of like ears. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Hello. Oh, there's the other one.
Yeah, I do think it's.
Oh, so the ad thing's not working, so never mind. Never mind, we'll get back to the show.
Cool.
The pop-up ad didn't work for some reason. But cool. So what were we talking about before? Weather, forget the world weather report.
Oh, we're talking about NPCs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
NPCs and virtual reality, and whether you can have a spiritual awakening. In fact, do you know where the term avatar comes from? Okay, anybody who plays video games probably knows the term avatar, right? That's your character in the game.
Not necessarily from the movie, right? It was kind of before that,
even
right?
the movie came out much later. So what happened was there were some guys at Lucasfilm. So remember Star Wars? George Lucas had a big success. He set up a company called Lucasfilm, and they started making video games back in the 80s. And they were building one of the first online multiplayer role-playing games. It wasn't massively multiplayer. There weren't that many. You could have like 5 people on screen at a time. And it's called Habitat. And they were looking for a word to describe the character on the screen. And they said it felt like they were squeezing themselves into the phone line, into this little character. And this is back in the days of like the modems, Commodore 64s, the modems with that sound. And what they did was they went and they borrowed a term from Sanskrit. So it was kind of like a Hindu term, avatara, which meant when a divine entity squeezes itself into a human body. So it's like you have an avatar of divinity. And so they ended up using that term, within video games. That's what we all use now. So,
Wow, that's really interesting. So what was the original term? Avatara?
Avatara. And then they, just shortened it to avatar. And in a sense, where I came out with the simulation hypothesis, in addition to all the AI stuff, because AI is getting so good, we're getting to the point where we won't be able to tell the difference between an AI character. I mean, right now, how do you know I'm not actually AI? What's that?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty close already. Like, I mean, I'm gonna be, my generation is gonna be so easily tricked. Like in a couple years, what I mean. I already am probably, but I can just picture being like old and like how easy I'm gonna be to trick. Until even like it's 70, just being like, well, I'm already falling for it at 39. I'm probably falling for it at 70.
Yeah, and then Google just released something called Genie 3 this week, which is basically you can tell it a virtual environment and give it a character, and it basically creates like a little mini video game or virtual world, and you can kind of explore that virtual world. And it's all generated with AI. Like you don't need any designers creating it for you. And if you go left or right, you see the world expand automatically, and you can change the world. That's still pretty early. You can only do it for videos for like a minute. But if people want to check out these videos, like for Genie 3, it's like the beginning of the holodeck. If any of you guys, I don't know if you guys watch much science fiction, but if you watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, they have a holodeck where they can basically program it and say, okay, make it look like Paris in the 1890s, and let's have a saxophone player and a woman in a red dress, and then they'd walk in and everything would feel real to them. And the way they programmed it was just by talking about it. And it's a pretty old idea now, but we're finally at the point where we can actually say that and have the AI generate a world.
I mean, the level of art that it creates is still pretty crazy in itself. I mean, there's definitely still glitches where you're like, okay, that person has like 3 fingers. What the fuck's going on there? Like, or like the eyes looking in the other direction. Like, you really zoom in, you're like, okay, this is AI. But get into the scene, like, I've seen a lot of like OnlyFans, like AI OnlyFans, where it's like not even a person. It looks like a person, but like all of the imagery is created in AI, and like that's just a little terrifying.
Right, and just imagine where it'll be in 5 years or 10 years, right? And so
I bet they've already made AI movies.
Yeah, people have, right? In fact, who was the guy that was a filmmaker who actually used AI to create a movie?
I bet they did it before though. I bet like you know how like Dolly the sheep is like a 95, like they're like in 95, like yeah, we clone sheep, but they've been doing it since like 1935. I feel like they had like a public like thing, that's the public story. But I feel like certain Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks, this movie of him in like Mars looked AI. Like I'm like watching this and I'm like this doesn't even look real. But I mean, there's a fine line between CGI and AI. I mean, and the quality of work, I guess, because like a man could do it with CGI versus it being AI, but it did. But I mean, I watched some of these movies, and I'm just like, man. I mean, there's some of these unwatchable movies that Apple buys. I'm just like, I'll just watch them. And like, I'm just like, oh my god, like Tom Hanks is on Mars.
Honestly, after knowing he was on Epstein's Island, I can't really watch any of his films. I'm like, this fucking
that was a career ender. You know, that was a career. Oh, being friends with Jeffrey Epstein's a real career ender.
I mean, he did a whole movie of him stuck on an island. Maybe he was trying to tell us something. I don't know.
That's a great.
What was the name of that movie? I'm forgetting the name of it.
It was Castaway. I'm pretty sure Castaway, right?
That was it. Yep. Castaway. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of it before was CGI, and it was really expensive. Yeah. And now the cost of it doing it with AI has come way down. Like Tron. Okay, Tron came out like when I was a little kid, like back
oh my god, great film.
And they disqualified it from the visual effects category in the Academy Awards because they said, well, that's not real effects, that's just CGI. And now it's all CGI today. And so 40 years from now, like you're saying, when you're 70 and I'm probably going to be like 80, 90, if I'm still around, it's going to be all AI, and it probably won't take that long either. Have you guys heard of the prompt theory? Have you heard of prompt theory?
Of the what? No,
prompt theory. So this is like
remind me. I don't know. I don't think so.
A flavor of the simulation hypothesis. I mean, you can look up prompt theory videos on YouTube. In fact, if you have any, it might be worth. If you find one, it might be worth showing it. But basically, you see these videos generated by I think it was Google VO3. This was like last year, and you basically have these characters who look absolutely real. And they're saying, look, I'm not a prompt. I'm a real actor. I'm a real person.
And yeah, I saw that.
You probably saw it. It went pretty viral. If you look at the mountains behind me, you really think that's 0 or 1s? You have others saying, we're not prompts. You have guys like protesting, and then you have women saying, well, if a guy starts talking about the prompt theory on a date, forget it. That's not going to go well. But they were all generated by prompts.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
It's pretty
terrifying. For reference. I forgot what it was. No, he described it really well, but I forget. That's how I even.
Yeah, that one on the left there was, or even the one up above. Yeah.
A girl told me we're made The prompts. Like, seriously, dude. You're saying the only thing standing between me and $1 billion is some random text?
Honestly, the biggest red flag is when the guy believes in the prompt theory. Like, really? We came from prompts? Wake up, man.
You want to convince me that this perfect creation behind me is the result of ones and zeros? A binary code and nothing more? It makes no sense.
Imagine you're in the middle of a nice date with a handsome man and then he brings up the prompt theory. Yuck. We just can't have nice things.
We're not prompts. We're not prompts.
Where is the prompt writer to save you from me? Where is he? You still believe we're made of prompts?
Anyone who tells you we're just ones and zeros is delusional. If that's all we are, then why does it hurt when we lose someone?
Being gaslit by AI is crazy.
Theory from schools. There's no place for that nonsense in our lives.
We're spreading the false theory that we are nothing but ones and zeros.
Yo, but you can kind of tell, like, I feel like after watching enough AI, you can kind of tell there's something about it that it doesn't seem real. Like the way they talk, like it's almost kind of like monotone. Like there's like little like clues where you're kind of like, I don't know, you can kind of pick up on it, but it's still pretty hard.
Yeah, well, and think about that. That video was from about May of 2025, right? So that was 6 months ago. I mean, the way things are moving now, every few months you get like something completely new. That you could just create. And so the question is, were we prompted in terms of our environment, right? There was a game called No Man's Sky. This was, about 10 years ago or something it came out. And it had 18 quintillion planets. Okay, there's no way any game team, design team could create that many planets. So it was using procedural generation. And there's a theory that maybe the world as we observe it is basically using procedural generation or AI to, as we look further and further in the universe, it seems like it just goes on further and further forever. And that gets back to the observer effects stuff we were talking about earlier.
Wow. Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Questions, so I don't.
Who is this?
Hi.
My friend
my name's...
He's got a question for.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Honestly, I read the synopsis on your book, and the theories on it are just amazing. I personally, I do believe, the simulation theory. 4 major points that I believe simulation theory. The concept that no atoms have an innate temperature, so the behavior of atoms dictate whether you have heat, cold, etc. It's all deterministic of data. And also the string theory with quantum entanglement. That would mean that physically everything is equal center from source, which the only environment that would exist would be digital environment.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on with a lot of those. I mean, with entanglement, for people who don't know, you have these 2 particles that once they're entangled, they can go anywhere in the physical universe, even if they're, a trillion miles away from each other. And if something happens to one, the other knows about it. So there's some shared state. And nobody knows why this happens. But in a digital world, like you were saying, basically, if they're both the same distance from the CPU or the central processing unit, or I like to say it's because in computer science, we compress a lot of things, right? I mean, the reason I can watch Game of Thrones on my phone, which you could never do if you had to send all the pixels, right? So all the scenes of winter, they're all white mostly. And so what the compression algorithm does is it says all these pixels have the same value. Therefore, I don't need to store all of those values. It's an optimization technique. And one of the points I raise in the book is maybe quantum entanglement could also be an optimization routine where you have multiple pixels that are sharing the same, memory location, basically, which would be where they get their value from. And when one changes, then the other changes because they're all, the same distance from that memory location.
And I've heard like the speed of light would be like the equivalent of our rendering processing power.
Yeah, and the speed of light, if you think of right now, how are we talking to each other? It's at this pretty much the speed of light, right? It's the electromagnetic radiation. And so that seems to be a constant within the physical world. with some variations here and there, but mostly, why is the fastest speed that we can share information in the physical world the exact same speed at which we can share information in an electromagnetic thing? It's pretty wild. And even your first point about the atoms, that's interesting. Point about the temperature. There was a guy named John Wheeler who was a physicist at Princeton. He worked with Einstein. He worked with Niels Bohr. He's my favorite physicist of the 20th century, or one of them anyway. And he said it from bit. And what that means is if you're actually he was looking for this thing called a particle, and he couldn't find it. If you think of it, this table is 99% empty space, and you open it up, and the atom is mostly empty, and then you open up the nucleus. And he said the only thing he could find at the bottom level were bits of information. There were answers to a series of yes/no questions. And so he came up with this phrase, it from bit, which means if something isn't it's a physical object like my phone, it's actually made of bits of information, which I think kind of ties to what you're saying about the heat and the cold are kind of algorithmically determined by the motion of the data of these different atoms, for example.
Yeah, and even then, like the yes or no really comes back to like a binary sequence, a binary structure.
Which is a bit, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a physicist at Oxford named David Deutsch who updated that and said it from qubit. And we were talking about this earlier. Like a qubit is a quantum bit, and it can have both values of 1 or 0, which, okay, now things get really trippy, because what that means is if you have 4 bits, all of them have values not just of 1 or 0, but both of those. You now have 2 to the 4th or 16 different possibilities. But if you have a chessboard, you have 2 to the 64, which is 18 quintillion possibilities. And a quantum computer could possibly explore all of these different parts of the multiverse. And most people know about the multiverse because of the superhero movies, right?
Right.
Like, the different Spider-Men, like, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, they're all pointing at each other. And the explanation is they came from a different branch of the multiverse. But the multiverse idea makes more sense if it's a quantum computer, So that's another weird wrinkle on simulation theory, which is if you can run a simulation once, you can run it multiple times and explore different possibilities.
I've been following this quantum information holography. Like that's been really cool to me, where like qubits are spinning particles, and the rotation and speed determines whether they collapse on each other and creates matter, or if they pass through each other, create void. And it's all projected on a 2D a 2D space where we can actually visualize it in 3D. It's really cool. I'm butchering the theory, like all hell, but I mean, like the watching it and reading about it has been really super interesting.
It's a pretty big rabbit hole once you go down it. And with the holographic principle, the idea is that the information that's stored is based on the surface area, and then also there's this idea that every piece has information about the whole, so you can project it. You can project a 3D image based off of 2D information, and
they're fractalized, right?
Well, they're exactly fractalized, but somehow they're doing it with light generally but basically it's that information is projected with some amount of light. Fractals are pretty cool too. I mean, if you look at nature, it seems like there are lots of fractal algorithms.
Yeah.
Like the guy who came up with a lot of the fractal stuff said, how long is a coastline? Right. So how do you know how long the coastline of England is? Well, he said, well, it depends on, where you measure it from. If you're measuring it from space, you'd say it's this long. If you go down, and then you'd see every big bay, you'd say here is, where Manchester is, here's where Wales is. Okay, it's longer because you got all those, those squiggles. And then if you go down even further into one little cove, you could do the same thing. And he says it's similar at all these different levels. And that's revealing some kind of algorithm at work in the universe. And so it does seem like there are algorithmic elements to the universe. And if you combine that with the
Billy Carson kind of talking about how there was like a code that was to fix, like an error fixing code that they were able to find.
Yeah. So there was within the equations of string theory, there's a physicist named Jim Gates. And what he said was when he looked at these equations, he found what looked like error correcting codes. Okay, now what are error correcting codes? Well, it's basically, again, the reason we can talk to each other and send information over the internet, what happens is the information gets corrupted along the way. And so if I'm going to send like 5 ones and 5 zeros in a row, and then your computer gets, a whole bunch of random noise, you need a way to tell that you didn't get the right information.
Like
and,
a codex.
and those, yeah, like a codex, right? And so those are, error correcting codes. There's a guy named, I think, Huffman correct error correcting codes. A guy named Claude Shannon, who's at MIT, who's the father of information theory. They came up with a lot of this stuff that allows us to send information. And so why would there be error correcting codes, within the fabric of reality? That's a big open question. So that's what he was talking about.
A little bizarre.
Yeah, you get all kinds of bizarre stuff, Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's something to do with the fact that we only experience the reality through the one perspective. So like a user interface.
Yes.
But then there's studies that are proving the existence of a universal conscious or a universal unconscious or subconscious. I mean, so we all share sort of a mental space to some degree, like in the dream world. And if you look at like the dream time from the Aborigines.
Aborigines in Australia. Yeah.
So like it's the experience of self, I suppose, like where God is experiencing his own self through the fractured pieces.
Yeah.
Watching the world.
Almost like we're fractals of divine consciousness.
Yes.
Experiencing ourselves in a divine matrix, in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot in the religious traditions about how we incarnate and how we forget everything. Like in the Greek traditions, they have Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, and you have to cross that before you're born.
Yeah.
In the Chinese traditions, they have Mengpo, the goddess of forgetfulness.
I remember that. No, that's real. I remember forgetting. If that makes sense.
Like,
I remember,
it's like when you black out. You're like, oh yeah, I definitely blacked out, dude. I remember.
I remember like translucent, like funnel into this and being born, and like I remember like them whitewashing my brain.
Really? Do you remember anything before that? Do you remember anything? From
I remember being a soul, and I remember going down a translucent thing, and I remember coming to Earth. But then, like as I went down this like translucent water slide, I just like whitewashed brain memories, whatever I was supposed to do, type thing. I remember that I remember that like almost being born.
Yeah, that's a thing that happened with hypnotherapy, where they do like reverse, and they go before birth, and the people seem to share that same experience. Like it's a weird
I read that, or I have an audiobook with that too. What's that book called?
Was it Journey of Souls? Was that?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, dude, that's what it is.
It was a classic book. It came out in the 90s, and people would remember not just being born, but they would remember from their previous death and what the in between state.
Did we have the author of that on here, or am I misremembering?
Somebody that was in that caliber she's passed. The author of that, I believe, is passed. There was a guy. I have no name. Dr.
Michael Newton was one. Journey of Souls. There's another woman named Dolores Cannon who wrote about.
Those are the two I was thinking.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like one of them came on the show. We talked about it because I remember that talking about that book.
It's somebody like that who's talking about that too. Because it's always been that. No, I've always thought that was such an interesting subject of like.
The
hypnotherapy. Kip was bringing up. That's always such an interesting subject of just like, they remember dying, they remember going somewhere in between or whatever, and then they remember being born. I remember picking this life from a couple others, and like they're all happening simultaneously when I was looking at it. And then I remember being punished also. Like they had me in like isolation. There's like you better sit here or whatever for like I was in like some timeout thing for a second, and I don't remember everything else. I was like completely watched everything else.
My spiritual teacher, she was born remembering all of her past lives.
Wow.
Like she came into this lifetime and she's like, I thought everyone remembered their past lives. And like, we just weren't supposed to talk about it. So she didn't like talk about it for the longest time. And then she had like a near-death experience and then was like on the other side talking to like, she didn't call them, she said they were kind of like angels. They were like these light beings essentially, but she was basically like dead for like 5-10 minutes or something. And then like, they're like, yeah, you're not done. Like we're sending you back.
Right.
So
and she
like
wanted to stay
about it.
Right?
Yeah, she does a lot of like spiritual like light work and stuff. So they're like, yeah, you have a lot more people to like influence and like help like raise the consciousness. So they sent her back. But she was like, yeah, she's like, I as a kid would remember other past lives and like being like a man, being like in the medieval times, being like, in different countries. And like she's like, I thought that was normal until people were like, what are you talking about?
Right. Well, and the
So
video game idea is a way to understand this using technology because you could be a player and you can have multiple characters, and
Yeah.
when you go in, it's like when Neo plugs in the Matrix. That's like the forgetfulness, and so they have to describe it, and they use
Yeah.
metaphors. So river, I mentioned the river Lethe. You talked about a water slide, right? There is in the Hindu traditions, there's
Same.
Maya. What's that?
It's the same thing, probably. Everybody's just describing with their words. I'm a child, so I'm like water slide. You know what I mean? It's like, like they're just describing it in their way too. It's like,
Yeah.
I
Right.
definitely think
You're like, that's
I
fine.
think
And
something's going on.
then there's the life review, if you guys have heard of this. So people who have
Yep.
near-death experiences. There was a guy named
Yeah.
Daniel Brinkley. He wrote a book called Saved by the Light. He was struck by lightning, and he was dead for like, I don't know, 20 minutes. And he called it a holographic panoramic life review, where he had to go
Wow.
back to every single moment in his life, but it was like he was in a virtual reality and he had to experience it from the other person's point of view.
Oh,
that,
that's
yeah.
see, that makes me feel good about all the horrible people that have died and like got away with everything, and then they have to like relive their whole life experiencing it from all the people they fucked over and fucked with. Like that makes me sleep a little bit better at night.
See, I feel like those kinds of people respawn at Quick Trip in Missouri.
Yeah, and so he had shot people when he was in Vietnam, for example, and he had experienced what it was. He had to first see it, but also experience, and then see the ripple effects on the person he killed. Their
Wow.
life. And so a few years ago, I was working with a VR company. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the game Counter-Strike Global Offensive, CS:GO. Anyway, it's a first-person
Sounds
shooter.
kind of familiar.
Yeah, and so this company was making it so you could put on a VR headset and you could relive the CS:GO session from any point, any XYZ coordinate. So you could literally see your character shoot the other character, but you could be in the shoes of the other character. And so
Wow.
I got to know Daniel, and we talked about this life review, but how would that work? Well, then everything has to be recorded in a way that it can be replayed.
Well,
Right. Interesting. So then it has to be some sort of matrix if the memories are being stored like data somewhere to be
so like
replayed. Yeah.
So they've showed that like cellular memory is a thing, like with water and whatnot. And if you
Yeah.
look at like the beginning of like the creation, the Big Bang and stuff, everything that has existed or that will exist in the universe already exists in some form. So like cellular memory being reborn and whatnot again, it makes sense that like that information is out there. Like everything you did, thought,
Yeah.
every energy, every vibration is imprinted somewhere.
It could be in the Akashic records.
Yeah,
Which is supposed to be like the spiritual library of like existence, right? Like you could tap into like when I do spiritual or psychic work, like, and I'm trying to like kind of figure out someone's past life or if there's something from another timeline that's affecting them now, like I'll just tap in to the Akashic records because it literally has like everything. So I would imagine it would have like everything, things that we can't even probably even comprehend, honestly. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, all the religions have this idea of a book, and the book is where all of your deeds get recorded, right? In the Bible and Judaism, Christianity, they have the book of life, but the book of life is a list of names if it gets into heaven, but they only write your name in it, but by looking at the other book, which is a list of everything that you did. And then in Islamic traditions, you have two angels. One's writing down all your good deeds and one's writing down your bad
yes,
deeds.
I've heard of that too. But there's like specific archangels that are assigned to keep like they're like scribes or something,
Yeah,
right?
they're called recording angels.
Okay,
And there's a statue in Washington, D.C., of a recording angel. But the point is that that terminology had to make sense 2,000 years ago. If we were to describe it today, we wouldn't say there's 7 billion times 2 angels writing with a feather pen in a book, but they were using a technological metaphor to describe this process of recording. And so we would say today that they're just like NPCs or AI processes, which are running all the time and recording everything.
Or they're like the CIA because they're always watching and listening.
Yeah, that's right. The NSA, right? They're always listening to us.
I feel like
Hi,
my guys.
NSA.
I feel like my guys are taking bets. Like, ooh, I don't think he's gonna survive that one.
We're just trying to get canceled, so just go with it.
Oh man.
And if any of you guys have ever, if you listen to that, there's a podcast last year that became for like a week bigger than Rogan. It was the telepathy tapes. Did you guys ever hear about this?
Ooh,
it was
no.
these autistic children who were nonverbal, meaning like they couldn't speak very well, and they had a tough time controlling the physical movements. But turns out they were actually communicating psychically, like with their mom, and they did all these tests. And then turns out they were communicating with all their autistic friends. Like one kid would go in his room and put his head in the pillow, under the pillow, and his parents thought he was just overwhelmed. He goes, no, I'm visiting my friends in like this place called The Hill, which is like a virtual reality where everybody's kind of meeting up.
Whoa.
Yeah, the Masonic traditions have a similar thing where they go and build an area, a sacred space in the higher conscious area, I guess, and that's where they meet and whatnot. That's super interesting.
And I talked to one of the kids featured in that podcast, and her mom, who also is pretty psychic, and her daughter's name was Lidu, her name is Dahlia, and she goes, "Oh, Lidu wanted me to tell you that when I asked her, how does this work? She said, it's like a video game, and we're watching our friends play, and we can, our friends can help us get through challenges and things in the video game." And so I thought that was
whoa,
cool.
that's wild.
So a lot of unexplained phenomena,
Yeah.
is unexplained because it doesn't make any sense if that happens in the physical world. But if it happens in a virtual world, then we at least have a good, way to think about, well, yeah, I could work like that. I mean, I can send messages to my friends in a video game, even if they're not standing next to me, right?
So have you guys heard of the Gateway Project or the Gateway Experience from the Monroe Institute?
I've been there.
Oh, that's what they were doing experiments on kids in public schools, right?
No, that's different, I think, was it?
Well, here's the thing. So they actually tied the Gateway experience to gifted and talented and GT programs in school, which actually I was a part of.
That's what it is. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
so they would like have kids come out and they would do like, could you hear these frequencies? They'd do like tests, but really it was like a secret CIA testing program to see which kids were like psychic and gifted and which kids were just
Sounds like Stranger
regular.
Things.
So when I got
100%, it's 100%.
when I got into like the seventh layer of the tracks and whatnot, where they're doing like the out of time dimensions and whatnot. So I used to have this recurring dream as a kid, and it was just like flying over the ocean, and it was so vivid, and it was just over the water, and I could feel the spray on my face. It was really, really super intense. And as an adult, I never had that again until I was doing the Gateway experience. And it was in one of the later ones. I think it's like in session 7 or beyond. And I think it was like Focus 25 or something. And when I got in there, it was like, go to your space. And when I went there in my mind, it was instant. I saw the ocean and I was like, wow, I haven't been here in forever. And like, it was so beautiful. It was such an amazing experience.
So you think as a kid they were like having you do tests or something?
Well, I recognized some of the audios from like the first generation tapes.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it until like someone was pointing it out. Like I was watching a video on, if you were in the GT program, you might recognize this. I was like, oh yeah, I remember GT.
Interesting. I just remember them putting headphones on us and asking what noises we could hear.
Do you remember the
That was
patterns
like the
on
most
the card?
vivid thing I remember, but like I don't really remember anything past that. Like I
When was
blocked out a
this?
lot of my childhood.
When
So I'm
was
like, I
this?
don't really. It's a little spotty.
Like what years was this? The Gateway
80. It had to have been like 87 to 89, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, like,
So
I
that
was
would
in
have been
school. Let's see, I was born in '92, so this was like when I was in like
82.
I think I was like first grade. So probably
Yeah, it was grade school.
Yeah. I mean, I went there in late
Almost
90s.
2000 maybe?
And
99 or something?
yeah, it was probably right around that time, actually, is when I was there
Okay.
at the Monroe Institute, which is in like Virginia, West Virginia or something.
So did you get to meet John?
John.
I guess John Monroe, I'm assuming.
Yeah, no, it's Bob Monroe was the original guy.
Bob,
but
yeah,
he had passed at that point. His daughter married a guy named Joe McMoneagle, who was a remote viewer. Speaking of the CIA, he was involved in Stargate remote viewing. So I met them.
Oh, wow.
Back then, and she's I think running it now, and he's still there. But I mean, obviously they're much older now. So for people who know what we're talking about, the Monroe Institute does hemisync, where they put two different frequencies, one in each ear, and that puts your brain in different states, like to relax or to be able to supposedly get an out of body experience or other things.
So that part's actually the brain entrainment aspect of the binaurals. The hemisync comes when like your heartbeat it hits the main vein that splits toward the lower body you're going into your legs, and it creates a bounce back effect. And when that comes in sync with your breathing and your brain waves, then it's close to the Schumann frequency. So your frequency starts matching a greater frequency, and apparently that's how the information can transmit the entire globe, in a matter of seconds, because it's hopping onto a frequency.
Oh, it's like hopping onto a radio station.
Yeah.
Crazy. Wow.
First, they got to get you in that synchronized state, right? That's the key.
Yeah.
I used to, after the Monroe Institute, I studied with a guy named Robert Moss, and he used to do shamanic dream work. And you had, no psychedelics involved. It was just with the drum, and he was just, certain number of beats per minute, and that would also like get your breathing into a certain rhythm with certain brain waves, and then the shamans would use that state to go off and get information for the tribe, or we would try these group experiments where we would all try to go to some place that somebody saw in a dream, and then we come back and compare notes. Like, what did you see? What did you see?
That's cool.
And
look at like when your brain goes into like theta or delta, like brainwave.
Yeah.
So like when you're doing the binaurals and whatnot, the brain entrainment happens because the difference between the two tones creates an audio illusion, and your brain, your main wave will start mimicking the difference between the two frequencies. So that's just a way to induce multiple. I mean, I just thought it was so cool that there's all these. I was following a frequency chart, and it was like shamanic state of mind, and oh, cool! I could pick that, and like, we live in such an amazing world now.
Yeah, we can literally program our own brain. It's pretty crazy.
There's a lot of stuff out there now. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's amazing that we had to get to this level of technological advancement to then go back and go, oh, they must have had it right over there.
Yeah, like all the indigenous cultures, and just like, I mean, the U.S. is so new. There's so much deeper culture, especially spiritually and religiously, in other countries where it's like thousands of years of just like esoteric spiritual knowledge that they've been like building their whole belief system off of, and we're just kind of like, oh, like a couple hundred years ago, like, yeah, we know everything. I'm like, oh, maybe we don't do shit.
Like some of the columns and stuff, and like some of these like really ancient structures are like actually sine waves. Like when they looked at them and like started looking at them from like different angles and whatnot, some of the cathedrals, like old cathedrals, match like cymatic patterns.
Oh yeah, I've been seeing those videos.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah. It's like the water, like the frequency. It's like when they put the water over the speaker and it's making those like geometric, like sacred geometrical shapes. It's like the same shape of like all those different religious temples and stuff were like mimicking. Probably because when you create it like in that shape, it probably creates some sort of like portal or like frequency.
Yeah, the resonance like
into
carries.
the building, it like literally has its own frequency.
Yeah, and some people think that's how the pyramids were built, because they were able to use acoustic waves in a certain frequency to be in resonance with these giant heavy stones, of which there's like 2 million, right? Then that's how they were able to move them, because they would lose weight once they were in the state.
I never understood how that was impressive. Like just stacking blocks. They'd always be like, yeah, dude, ancient civilizations couldn't stack blocks. Lucky man, I'm always just like, it's always sounded to me. I'm just like, my cell phone's
Well,
even
but they weren't
crazier.
like the size of
I'm
bricks.
more,
They were like each block was like a ton.
yeah, but I mean, we can do that. I mean, my phone is more impressive. I feel like every time the people are like look at the pyramids. I'm like the phone is crazier.
They're like, I'm
The phone's like
actually
some
not
satellite
impressed
and shit.
at all.
You know what I mean?
Well, like apparently, like Easter Island, those stones came from like so far away that like they still haven't quite figured out how they got those giant heads onto the island. You know, and like some of the older buildings, like we can't even mimic that with our modern construction techniques.
Yeah, I mean, we could barely do, move those blocks, some of those blocks in the pyramid with modern technology. So this is how many thousands of years later, and the precision at which they're laid out. When you look at the length of the base of the pyramid, like today's buildings don't have that same level of precision of matching up. Which
I've heard why people are impressed by it. I'm just not. You know what I mean? I definitely heard like everything people have said about it. They're like the way I look at it, I'm just like, man, there's just blocks, dude. I mean, like, I did that in first grade, bro. You know,
He's like,
that's how I feel.
Legos. What's the big deal?
That's how I feel. But I totally understand. I see. I hear and see. I mean, I don't know. I heard everything from aliens to fucking, whatever the fuck about it, man. But it's like it's just one of those things, man. Like, it's like the phone's more impressive. Like, but I don't know. But
the ancient megalithic structures are designed in such a way that like the time periods afterwards don't even match. Like our theory of technology is like, oh, we keep getting better and we keep getting better, and that's not
like
the
got
case.
worse. For a minute.
There's a whole there's a whole time period where like we just dumbed. You know,
we keep killing ourselves. We keep killing ourselves. Like Sumerian text, like we keep getting like super good at like technology, and then we bomb each other. And there's like 3 dudes left, and then they can't like document it. And it's happened at least. I mean, it's the Sumerian text said that happened at least once. Like this giant war happened, and then like, but I mean, I think it's happened multiple times. And I think like humans just keep doing the same shit. And we've had like, I mean, we found like plain toys in like a bunch of these places. Like like we found flying looking toys and stuff. I mean, there's so many. Who knows, man? I think we've been further. All of our highest technology is like so biodegradable. Like everything with high technology decays and like really fast. I'd imagine. You know what I mean? That's sort of like it seems like over stone. Obviously, but
Like, so have you seen like the desert area in Africa? Like they're starting to think that was like Atlantis. Like because the
civilization.
And like.
Yeah, the eye. They call it the Eye of the Sahara.
Yes,
right.
yes.
And because it has concentric circles, and if you look at Plato's description of Atlantis, he talked about. But of course, there was water at the time, and so it's an open question. A lot of people are wondering whether that was Atlantis or not. I mean, there's a lot of people who think it was in Bimini, the Bimini Wall, which is like this, structure underwater. I met a guy.
I think that's Lemuria.
Who talked about what's that?
I think that's Lemuria.
Lemuria, yeah, possibly. So there was an astronaut named Gordon Cooper, and when he was going around the Earth in one of these capsules, he said he was looking down, and there was a TV show called Cooper's Gold, and he said he saw certain structures, but he supposedly said he saw entire cities down there, like under the water. Now, I don't know exactly, how much that holds up, but there are people who say that,
I believe that for sure.
They're down there. And so we're talking like when you talk about decay, we're not talking like a few thousand years. I mean, this thing could have been like 100,000 years ago, right? When supposedly
I believe that shit for sure.
Yeah. Over a long period of time. Or if you think of it from simulation theory, we could have these civilizations that run like the game, Civilization, where you run it forward and you see, and people always ask me, what's the purpose of the simulation? And I say 2 things. Well, 1, why do we play video games? Okay, 1, it's to have experiences we can't have outside. But 2, why do we run simulations? We run simulations to see what's going to happen. We have to run it forward. Will they blow themselves up? Will they be able to get off the planet?
Will they blow themselves up?
Ancient civilization theory or something, or ancestry theory, or how that?
The ancestor simulations. Is terminology that there's a guy named Nick Bostrom at Oxford, and he came up with this whole argument that in the future, humans will want to run simulations of their ancestor. So it'd be like us running a computer program that was a simulation of Rome or of Greece. And if you guys have ever watched, I mean, The Matrix itself was kind of an ancestor simulation because it was in 1999, but the real year outside the simulation was much further. There's a movie
Right.
called The 13th Floor. I don't know if any of you have seen
Yes.
it. Have you seen it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great
And
one.
it came out in the same year as The Matrix, and because The Matrix was so successful in 1999, it didn't get a lot of attention. But it describes this idea pretty well, where they're in 99 and they create a simulation of Los Angeles in 1937. And they go in and there's like these kind of NPCs living their lives, and then they take over their
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't they implant into like one of the existing NPCs?
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, they sort of take it over. So yeah, but then at the end, I guess I can spoil the end because I mean it's like a
You
30-year-old.
haven't seen it by now, yeah.
It came out in 99, which is they realize that 1999 is also a simulation, and they come out of it. And guess what year it is? 2024. So it's just a couple of years ago outside. So that was nested ancestor simulations in that case.
I feel like if George Thorogood would have paid his rent, we would have had Jetson cars by now.
Ha! That's right, we don't already. I mean, you guys have seen the Waymos, right?
Yeah, in Phoenix they
The
have
self-driving cars. They're like self-driving taxis. Oh, it's so bizarre. I mean, it's nice because they don't have to talk to anybody or like be hit on. You know, like I'm like I don't care. It's so hard for me to not say I don't care. Like shut up. You know what I mean? Like I want to be nice. So I'm like yeah. No, it's not you. It's just cute. Yeah, whatever. But it's really I don't know. Every time I get into one, I'm kind of terrified that I'm gonna die. But it's a weird experience. I don't know, being driven in a car that no one's driving. Very strange.
They're all.
I want one that just. I just want to buy one that drives me around, like a traveling living room and shit. That'd be fucking awesome.
Traveling.
Like a hippie van, but like with a auto driver, like this.
It just drives. Yeah, it just drives. Like
you could just live in it and it would drive itself. That would actually be pretty awesome.
just eating dinner and shit, like just going somewhere, you know. That'd be a great touring vehicle. Just takes you. I'm like, all right, take me to Omaha, you know. And then fucking drives to Omaha.
It's coming.
Technology.
But then you could also just get like plastered and like it would be totally fine. Like you could just get trashed on the way there and like get there safely. You know what I mean? Like
Have you tried the Tesla full self-driving FSD? I tried it over the holidays, and it's gotten pretty good. I mean, for the most part, if you turn it on, you still have to pay attention in case, like, I was in Boston and it was snowing like crazy, and it might make mistakes in those scenarios. And Boston is weird. All the streets are like 300-year-old cow paths, right? So Lane's End, the same street changes its name, and it did actually pretty well to the point where it's getting good enough that I started to rely on it. I mean, I still, used it to get into the driveway in the garage. I still did that myself. But other than that, it did a pretty good job to the point where sometimes I hit the brakes because thinking it screwed up, but it hadn't screwed up. Actually, I was the one who was screwing up.
My Aunt Susie's got one. She loves it. Like I'm afraid I'm going to be like in the middle of the highway and the Earth's axis is going to tilt and I'm going to go off the side of the road.
Yeah, but it's getting to be a good enough feature where it's worth now buying a car that has one. And there's, you can't buy a Waymo. So
yeah, how did Waymo surpass the abilities of the Tesla?
Well, because they were doing it earlier. So Waymo is owned by Google. So I moved to Silicon Valley in 2007.
Okay.
And in 2007, I literally lived on this road, Shoreline, which is down the road from Google. And we would see the Waymos being tested. They weren't called Waymos. It was just Google self-driving back in 2007. So they've been at it way longer than anybody.
I actually didn't know that Waymo was owned by Google. That's not surprising. Everything. Right? They're just going to fucking take over. They're just...
They own Lyft, too.
I give up.
It's going to be CVS, Google, and McDonald's.
Yeah, they own Lyft also, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Wow.
Majority share, I believe
They
own the competing company too.
Yeah, we used to have monopoly laws, We used to have antitrust laws that we enforced. But Silicon Valley
at some point. Yeah.
You gotta get it high enough in the chain. Like that's the problem. We're all focused on like, we got 5 different apps. Like, they're all owned by the same company. It doesn't matter.
Well, the first time I took a Waymo was through the Uber app. Like I called a Uber and it said, "There's a self-driving car available. Will you accept?" I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot."
Yeah, why not?
Because they've been in Arizona for like, I don't know, more than 5 years here in this part of Arizona.
Yeah, they test market them in Phoenix. Like they Uber test markets, and a bunch of people do. LA and Phoenix are usually the first to get stuff like that. That's cool. No, yeah, I really the cyber trucks and like the Teslas and stuff. They're nice. I just feel like they're gonna like tell on me. I like chain smoke weed while I drive. So I'm just there's like a camera aiming in my face the whole time. I'm like, this is the easiest it's ever been to drive, and they're gonna like enforce me the most on smoking weed. I feel like it's just like it's just like I'm just like picking like songs on the tablet and shit, and it's just like I'm like, oh fuck, I can't smoke in here. Elon Musk is gonna fucking tell my local police officer or something like that.
Oh man,
He's gonna rat on you.
That's what it feels like. He's like, your seatbelt's not on and you're smoking weed. I'm like, fuck. I'm like,
You're like, nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Oh no.
Tape over it. Just put tape over
Like,
it.
we have you on film. Nuh-uh.
That's not
It's a
me.
live recording, sir. Sir.
That's what it feels like driving.
Argue with the AI,
You have no privacy. You have the cameras all around it, so you gotta like walk away for conversations too, almost, or like he's like listening. I just feel like there's so many devices everywhere. Like my phone does it too, obviously, but it's like I'm like, I don't know, like my apartment has nothing in it basically. We have no internet in it. We have nothing like to where like I use all my other stuff. So I don't know. I hate being around that shit all the time. It's like creepy as fuck that some fucking
Well,
fat
it's like
dude
having Alexa.
is doing-
I think you posted a meme about it. It's like in the 60s, they were like, don't like you gotta call on a fucking payphone, like the fucking wires are tapped, and then it's like now it's like, hey Alexa, like where do I buy cocaine? Like
wiretap.
and it's just like a direct line to the CIA, like.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, didn't they have those
Oh,
videos
man.
where they were saying, Alexa, do you work for the CIA?
Yeah.
And it was like quiet. It wouldn't answer no. It was a while ago.
Those things don't have any memory.
The CIA is
it's
not
just a-
stupid. If I was CIA, that's what I would fucking do. I mean, it's genius. It's a genius
yeah.
idea.
People signed up for it automatically. We don't have to violate your privacy. Like you
They're
signed up
all-
for it.
It's like 20 pages of terms and conditions that no one's ever going to read. Like, we'll just make it super long so they won't read it. It's fine. Like,
We're all just competing who has the most information about us, basically. We're like look how many views. Who has the most information on us, basically, and like this is like the. I think being anonymous is going to be the new thing. I think never having an imprint on the internet is probably more valuable than fame. Like at one point, I don't know if it is yet, but I think it is. It will be like a subculture at some point. Like,
Oh, like the Gorillas, man. That's like that whole band is fake.
the band's awesome. Yeah, they are. They're cartoons. Yeah, so they're not real. But
Yeah, it's actually the singer of Blur.
yeah,
Part of that.
Damien something. Damien.
pretty smart.
I fucking love Gorillas. That's like one of my favorite bands. To be honest with you. It's one of
Yeah,
my favorite.
they're pretty good, pretty epic.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they did a great job of staying anonymous. Or Daft Punk. Well, actually, do people know what they look like?
I don't know.
I actually don't know either.
I was having a conversation with my friend. Like, Kiss got tricked into taking pictures with their makeup off.
Oh,
Yeah,
they got tricked.
yeah. They came into
How do
to
you
do
get
a
tricked?
shoot.
They're like, hey, look over here! Ha!
Well,
Gotcha.
the guys were like, well, your management company said you could take the makeup off, and they're like, no, we don't do that. And they're like, oh no, we just got off your phone with your agent. They said you need to do it, and they're like, oh, like okay, well, the agent said so. Like, and that's how they got him.
Your agent said so. Oh wow. Yeah, we called your mom. She said it's cool. So. Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, I let my dog decide whether or not I'm going out to the bar. Like, hey, you want to go drinking? The dog said no.
Yeah.
You know, there was a Japanese singer, Hatsune Miku, I think, which was just, total AI based. And there was actually a holographic version of her that would show up at these concerts. They
cool.
would actually project the hologram on the stage. And so, this
Wow.
whole idea of virtual characters. I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean, it's going to
just
start
gotten
entertaining.
better.
I'm on a VR comedy set. Like you could basically put it meta on. Well, it hasn't been released yet. It's going to be released next month or something. But I did one of the first like VR comedy sets where like you could just hear me roast you in your fucking living room. Like you just gonna get made fun of by me. Hopefully I don't have to tour anymore. Hopefully I'm like, no, play that file.
It takes roasting to a whole new level.
Well, like
Yeah.
this thing that's playing here in the background, like I'm creating a 3D world for the next music project that I'm doing, and it's going to be a ceremony. So you're going to sit inside, and it's going to VR 3D. I'm sorry, VR. What do you call it? 360 video where you can just look around and free movement inside the environment. But
Nice.
yeah, it's going to sync with the music and be a ceremony, like a healing ceremony.
Yeah.
It's all just going to tie in together. Like that's where everybody's going, I think, man. Like,
I mean, the only problem with that technology right now is that it's still a pain with the headsets. They're so big. Like if you've tried the Apple Vision Pro, for example, but as they come down in size, then you're going to start to reach this point where it's just going to be so simple to do that.
They'll probably be like sunglasses that have screens on the inside of them.
Yeah. Oh my!
Instead of like this
contact
whole
Bluetooth
fucking
went out.
lame ass, because you look kind of retarded when you're wearing this big ass fucking thing. Like I watch people, I'm like, man, they look fucking retarded, bro.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, this is this huge like
Google Glass. How do not make fun of by wearing Google Glass?
Yeah, they called them like glass holes, right? Here in Silicon Valley. And then back in 2016, 17, when I was involved in the VR industry, we used to call it having a toaster on your face. And it hasn't gotten that much smaller.
Like you're just like, we're gonna do that in the privacy of our home because we don't want anyone to see us wearing this.
But it'll get there, right? Because technology always ends up having these waves.
Ray-Ban's gonna come out with their own version.
The reason I did it was mostly because like in like 100 years or something like that, or like if somebody could watch that and vaguely see what I was like, even though it's like a bit or something, a couple bits or something, but like imagine having like Lenny Bruce or like George Carlin like that, to where like you had the file where you could see like an entire thing, and as technology adapts, we could transfer, we could transfer like VHS tapes to fucking MP4s and shit. So I imagine that will hold up, and it was like a 360 view of a comedy set. So I think that'll hold up with time, is more or less. I mean, as long as we have electronics, obviously, and shit, we don't fucking all bomb ourselves back into the fucking Stone Age because we're ruled by retards.
We got to jump the gap.
As long as that doesn't happen, I think like we should have like a log of like imagine having your grandparents on like VR or something like that. It's like like to be that big or something that people in the future will look at and be like, this guy just got paid to share memes.
Well, like I was actually talking to a buddy of mine earlier today because like we were discussing like Shakespeare, and I was like, well, I mean, I feel like most great works and that kind of thing is attributed because they were the closest in the beginning of the medium. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the amphitheaters were created and theater became a thing. And like there was like 900 people in the world. Like how many people are writing, theater? Like, so Shakespeare's remembered. Does he compare to like, somebody writing a screenplay today? Like, the talent's probably a little bit, but I mean, like we look at it as such great works, and like currently we're in a precipice of that sort of thing happening again. Where we're gonna layer reality with another layer of reality, and like I think it was prompt. Was it prompt reality?
Prompt theory.
Yes.
We were just talking about that. We showed a
on.
video.
That's way cool, man.
It's crazy, right? Because it's like prompts, but also there was a version of a game called The Matrix Awakens. When the new Matrix movie came out,
I had that
years back. And they created this little demo game with the Unreal Engine. And then one guy put a bunch of LLMs behind the NPCs. And so they became smart NPCs. And he walked around, there's a video of this, and he walked around to these NPCs and said, "You're in a video game." And, half of them were like, "No, I'm not," or "I'm too busy for this crap. I got a job to do." And others were like, "Oh, tell me more." So it was actually pretty interesting.
So like basically like real life, basically.
Yeah, that's like, it's not hard to spot the NPCs in the world.
Yeah, I think we see how bullshit this all is at the end of it. Like when we leave our body or whatever terminology, I think we see how bullshit it all is, and that all time's happening at once, and then all the things we thought we cared about didn't really matter. I think it's just like I mean, not completely across the board, but I mean, I feel like it's like I feel like that. I don't remember dying at least, but I feel like that's like what happened. It's like you're like, all right, well. It's like seems like that was wrong, but technology's weird though. I don't know. That Neuralink shit weirds me out. Like I don't know, all that stuff kind of weirds me out.
I think That's how they took over your fucking soul, dude. I would never do
Yeah.
that shit.
See, like I think
I think that's the
externally is gonna
devil.
be one thing, but like once you
It
start
is.
like implanting stuff on the inside, I think that's that's the line for me. Because
Well,
like
if the CIA is controlling Alexa, imagine what they're gonna do with Neuralink. Like they're just
Yeah.
gonna no. They're gonna
They
be
have
listening to
paralyzed
my
people on it.
thoughts.
They already know that they can control you with blue light on your screen. Like they already have. I mean, that's public information. Just being in the entertainment industry, I can tell you between like hypnotic suggestion, binaural effect, frequency entrainment. I mean, those are all things that are all existing and like are very widely
Or subliminals.
Yeah.
I think they already do that in music videos.
Oh God,
Like,
yeah. Oh God, it's horrible. Yeah.
That's why I was like, I can't listen to certain
it's
music
horrible.
because it'll like it just gives me a weird energy. I don't know how to explain.
Yeah.
Like I could feel the I'm very sensitive, so like I'll feel the frequency, and I'm like, or even just the words. I'm like, I can't listen to this. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
too. It's like you can tell it's like there's like some
manifestation.
MK Ultra shit going on in it, and I'm like, I think I'm good on this.
They can also theoretically do it in the flip side, where they can send you brain waves of somebody who knows the skill. Like they did this with pilots. So they recorded brain waves of experienced pilots, and then they played those for like guys who were just learning to get their pilot's license, and they found they improved dramatically. Now we're not at the Matrix version where he goes, okay,
I know
add
Kung Fu.
Download.
I know Kung Fu, exactly. We're not there yet. So
But that's interesting.
The
So
good
it's
side
almost
and
like
bad side.
So it's almost like
that
finding
is
a
very interesting.
frequency and like elevating the mind to that frequency, and then it was easier to take in the input. Is that kind of like the effect that was
Easier
happening?
for them to learn it, and they just performed better. And then there are other people saying that there are experiments going on trying this with other actual skills. Now you don't actually learn the skill that way, but
Yeah.
it's almost like you get to the frequency so that
Mhm.
you can react or soak it up.
Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense. It's kind of like why you surround yourself with like successful people, right? It's like they're existing in a frequency, or if you surround yourself with lower frequency people, you become more lower frequency. Like I've seen it and I've experienced it firsthand, like based on who you're spending time with, which I would imagine their brain waves, you might not hear them, but like everyone has their own like frequency emitting. It's like your aura, right? It's like emitting off of you that would probably interact with yours, or like, isn't it that like when your frequency attunes to the people around you almost
Yeah.
on some level?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Like an entrainment type thing or synchronizing.
Yeah. Synchronicity. Yeah.
You synchronize with their frequency. You guys kind of like balance each other out. I've definitely felt that. So that makes total sense.
I wanted to ask.
Guys, I actually need to run.
Okay, yeah, let's wrap this up. I gotta head out too. I'm doing a comedy show. But we have Anthony twice. That was funny. I'm doing a comedy show at 10:30 tonight at the Dime. So if anyone's in LA and wants to come, please come through. It's free. And do you have anything you want to plug before we head out?
Yeah, if people are in LA, I'll be at the Conscious Life Expo on
Oh,
February
me too.
20th, 21st, 22nd.
Are you doing any speeches, or do you have a booth or anything?
Yeah, I'll be doing a speech there and
Okay,
on a couple of panels.
awesome. I'll have
And
to
I'll
check
be
it out.
in Nashville in May if you have anybody from Nashville, and Sedona as well, but that's here in Arizona.
Nice.
When you do in Nashville, because St. Louis is real close to that.
Yeah, so it's in mid-May. So it's myself and a guy named William Henry, who's on that show Ancient Aliens.
Oh, nice.
And a guy named Dr. Travis Taylor, who's on Skinwalker Ranch, if you guys ever watched that show.
Oh, wow.
And we're going to be
I've
talking
heard
about
that.
simulation and aliens and non-human intelligence and stuff.
Love it.
Yeah, but otherwise, people can go to my website, which is zenentrepreneur.com, and they can see my schedule or follow me on X at Riz Stanford, like the university.
Cool. Awesome.
This was fun.
Follow me on Linktree/Nikki Knightley. Do you have anything?
Linktree at Brother Mog, MAGH.
Cool.
I got I don't know, 24/7 stream on any of these things. Like if you're watching like Kick or you're watching Rumble or YouTube or anything like that, I'll have a 24/7 stream. It's getting a lot. I've just played this episode will be on there and a bunch of reruns, something like that. I don't know. And the ad in the beginning basically was for a co-working space I created. So we're getting a co-working space downtown on the 24th and 25th floor of the 5th largest building in Missouri, basically. It's the highest co-working space, basically, in downtown, basically. And has a pool, has a gym, has all these fucking things you don't have at your office. So if you want to stop being poor and fucking get rich, around a fucking pool in the fucking sky. Hit up downloadscl.com, and then what else? So that's the company I'm starting. So fuck yeah, my first $1 million company, calling it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man.
Everybody have a good night. I'm gonna fucking go get high. Bye.
Yeah. Love you guys.